What's poppin', everybody? My name is Ray Rawlins. I'm joined by Alex Payne, and we are on the Ray Rawlins Network, where we talk cartoons and we practically do it daily. We are continuing the 31 Days of Halloween Cartoons Marathon as we talk about The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror number three, number three, I believe it is. Now,
Yeah, it
of
is.
course, in true Treehouse of Horror fashion, we got to break down the three stories that they had in this episode before we actually start talking about the moments and review and whatnot. So this episode basically starts off with everybody at the Simpsons house, celebrating Halloween. Marge's telling scary stories, and they decide to tell scary stories themselves. The first one, I believe, if I'm correct, is from Lisa, and it's about Bart celebrating his birthday. Homer needs to go out get him a gift, so he ends up getting him a Krusty doll, talking Krusty doll, Krusty the Clown, which happens to be possessed in a sense, or I suppose you could say it has an evil switch. Basically, the doll is evil, and the main solution is they gotta basically switch a switch on it to make it good. The doll ends up tries to kill Homer, so that story is the first story in the whole episode. Second story happens to do with a gorilla called King Homer. Mr. Burns is running a circus and he wants to capture the gorilla for the circus and basically use it for, show business and whatnot, if you want to call it that. The third episode, Bart finds a little spell book where he is messing around with it, reading all the different spells, and actually ends up raising the dead. So the goal for this episode is for Homer and them to get to the library and find a book to reverse the whole spell that Bart did to raise zombies and all that. So that's the main premise of all three episodes. Alex Payne, what are your first impressions of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror?
Wow. My first impressions is wow, this one is actually decent.
Oh, come on, man. You ain't got to get down on
Just
The
kidding.
Simpsons like that, man.
I'm
Come
sorry, I'm sorry.
on, man. But I do agree in a sense.
What was your first impression?
I honestly, with this being only the third Treehouse of Horror that they did, I do have to agree with you. Like this episode is pretty decent. For what it
But
was.
actually,
I
to
I
give a
do.
real answer though, sorry,
No, go
but
ahead. Go ahead.
to give a real like first impression, I think they did a good job of actually making the very short stories work in this episode.
Right. I
Unlike they
do
did in
agree.
the because like in the other ones when they have like talking around it instead of just boom boom boom, like I feel like the stories felt complete. So I would say maybe except for the gorilla one, the King Kong parody. Maybe
Right.
that one was kind of like just a abrupt ending, but in a way it isn't. But what I'm saying is like they dealt with the shorter stories pretty good. So that was
Right.
my first
I,
impression
I
that they
do. I
actually did it
definitely.
well.
I definitely do agree with that. Like the doll one was kind of like a little, silly ending. Like, oh yeah, just turn the switch to good. Why the fuck would you have evil on a motherfucking? I don't know, but it's cartoon logic, man. And of course, like the scenes outside the actual stories made for some pretty comedic moments as well. Speaking of, I guess we might as well get into all the favorite and standout moments of this episode. I will say this. In the second episode, or was it the third? No, it was the second episode where Homer is the gorilla and whatnot. I just love how he picks up people and just eats them. And like when he finally breaks out of the whole circus and the little kids singing, I think that's Martin. Little kids singing, he just uh picks them up and just
So
you
I
hear
was gonna say that one. That was one of my favorites.
you just hear him crunch up in Homer's mouth. I'm like, oh man, oh. It's for some reason because I had headphones on listening to it, and for some reason it just sounded like way worse than what it really needed to be. It was like, oh, dude, you just hear this dude crunching in this gorilla's mouth. I do like. I think it was in the transition from the second to the final story when they were all in the house and Flanders came in and he popped off a little man. He's like, "Did I scare everybody?" And Grandpa's like, "Rah, and he was all discombobulated and shit. And Bart's like, I got a story that'll really make you wet your pants. He's like, too late. Planners made that dude piss himself. Oh, and in the first episode about the Krusty doll, when Homer comes back to the store like Milhouse is standing from the door, and the door just fucking smacks the shit out of him because he flings that bitch open. Boom! Sends that motherfucker flying. Oh my lord. Those were some of my favorite moments, my standing out moments of the episodes. What about you? What you got?
Surprisingly, I got some. Of one for me. Sorry, I don't mean to dog on the Simpsons so much.
No, dog on them. That's what this
tease.
segment's for. That's what these reviews are for. Dog the fuck out of them.
I got a tease, but from the first scene when Homer was teasing him to turn off the TV, and then they did, right? And then he's like,
"Oh yeah, I like that one."
But this is the thing that made me laugh. Not that is when he's like, I swear on this Bible, and then Marge is like, oh, that's not a Bible, that's a rug. What I guess they call it like the rug sample. Yeah, carpet samples, and he's like, fuzzy. I don't know why that. Because I had to watch the beginning of this episode 3 times in a row because my internet was being weird, and that made me laugh. Actually, it made me laugh each time I heard it. So that was my favorite. Just fuzzy, but the second thing that made me laugh was, funnily enough, and I was terrified you could steal this one from me too, because I wanted to mention the girl, him eating the little kid or whatever. But but when he busts into the house with the doll, and he gives it to Bart.
Oh yeah.
And Grandpa's like, he had a Mermaid Man moment. It's evil, evil. And then Marge is like, you said that about all the gifts. I just want attention.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I like when he comes in when Krusty. I like when he comes in and Krusty jumps on Homer's head, and he's like, Marge, look, the doll's trying to kill me. The toaster's been laughing at me. Like, well, we know for sure the doll's trying to kill you, but I didn't know the toaster was laughing at you. I want to hear the toaster laugh. I wonder what type of voice my toaster has. It's a big black one, so I do wonder. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
Take all this toast out of me, motherfucker. But no, I think because not that I could remember, I don't think there was even though I didn't think it was bad, I thought it was still enjoyable. I don't think there was any moments in the zombie one that made me laugh.
I just like how he was just Homer was just shooting. Oh no, he had one, I think it was the George Washington zombie or whatever. But he pistol whipped the fuck out of one of them. I know that for sure.
No, it was the Shakespeare.
Oh, Shakespeare, one. Yeah, Shakespeare. He just went boom, boom, just straight up smacked the shit out of him with the pistol. Boy, Homer wasn't playing. Homer was just gunning them down straight up. And that's one thing about Homer, man. He was not playing. He was not playing. But I guess we can get into final reviews. What are your final thoughts on this episode?
Definitely better than most of them. I would say overall. Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I was gonna say overall, I would want to say this one was better than the one with The Shining in it, but I don't think so.
The Shining? Maybe it was.
The one with The Shining.
I'd argue that. I'd definitely argue that.
But I think, because I think with that one had 2 great ones and a subpar one, and this one had 2 great ones and a subpar one. So, I'll say they're probably about neck and neck. If this one is not a little bit lower than that one, but anyway, so I think this was a pretty surprisingly good episode overall. I liked all 3 of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Oh, right on the mark with me. Like you said, honestly, and I don't know why I keep thinking this shit is so great. Because I'm kind of like referencing back to the whole episode that had the cowboy portion in it.
Oh god!
And I really was not fucking with that one. I'm being honest with you. I was not fucking with that one. And it, when you see something bad, it really makes you appreciate the good or subpar stuff of the show. So I'm gonna have to agree with you and say this was a pretty darn decent episode. Um, I remember when I first got the DVD with this on it, and I was like, man, I always loved the Treehouse of Horror episodes when I was a kid. And if anything, doing this whole Halloween marathon really made me see that the Simpsons ain't shit with these Treehouse of Horrors. They ain't shit. I don't know why I liked them so much when I was a kid. Like, but some of them arguably were okay. They were okay. Weren't the best. They're not on Courage the Cowardly Dog level, but this one was pretty decent.
I
I
mean,
will
not
say
much
that.
else. I mean, really.
Well, okay, you snob, but I will
I
give
mean, I didn't
this.
make the show.
I will. I will say this. This episode is definitely deserving of a 7.5, but at the very least, it's deserving of a 7. But I'll be nice and I'll give it a 7.5. In 2 more days when we do the final episode review of The Simpsons, man, oh, it's gonna be a good one because one of my favorite episode portions is in there. Um, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. It's about Mr. Hugo, Bart's evil twin brother. But anyway,
Ooh.
I give this one a 7.5 just as you do. We agree on that. Good Simpsons episode. And that pretty much does it for this review. My name is Ray Rawlins. His is Alex Payne. This is the Ray Rawlins Network where we talk cartoons and we practically do it daily. We will continue this Halloween cartoon marathon as the month goes on. We will see ya when we see ya. Peace.